No, it's not Friday. Thursday afternoon, and tomorrow being Friday, I'm going to be doing some lost wax casting again, and I'm going to be using this bad boy, the new furnace that we got in last week. And I'm just prepping. I've just been doing some waxes. I've got a nice little tree going on here. These are called suspenders. They are little pieces of silver that go over the top of war medals that you put the ribbons through. Now, I've been asked a lot for these. Apparently, there is great demand for these, and I managed to get one. I've made attached a sprue to it, I've made a mold to it, and I've been doing some injecting, and I'm just going to cast 10 of these just to try it out. I've also got some Celtic earrings that I was just sort of playing about with some molds, and tomorrow we're going to invest it, put it back into the kiln, then we're going to try out our furnace. It's going to be the first time we've used the furnace for doing the lost wax casting. The advantage that we got now is that I don't need Jason, because he always used to be the guy. When I was melting the gold or melting the silver down, he was always the guy that you've seen in the last couple of vlogs where he's been taking the flask out of the kiln, putting it on the top, and then putting it into the vacuum chamber of our Percast, our casting machine. Now I've got the furnace, I don't need him, because that can be melting away in the furnace quite nicely whilst I am doing other things. So tomorrow, it's going to be our first go at the furnace. I tell a lie, we did try it earlier on last week doing some spare little bit of gold. We just simply poured it out into an ingot mold. We tried it, it worked well, but this is the first time we've actually used it in a production run. So it's going to be quite exciting, but it means me coming in nice and early tomorrow morning to invest nice and early so we can get the casting done within one day. Casting day again, I'm not going to bore you with the whole casting process again. It is mainly because we're recording here. Yes, we are. It is because you've seen this now twice before and you don't really want to see it all over again. But I am using the furnace a little bit later, so that's going to be an interesting experiment a little bit later on. So I'm casting some silver today. We're going to be experimenting with the new furnace, and we're just going to see how things go. Hopefully this time Jason won't need, excuse the table wobbling, hopefully this time Jason won't need to help me, but just going to do some more investing. And again, it's going to be over 100 grams of silver, so I'm not going to bother with the centrifugal. I'm going to use the vacuum, which really, and using the furnace really makes sense, because it's going to be very hard to use the furnace if you're trying to do it centrifugally, because you really need the torch to melt the metal down for that. Alright then, so I'm not going to bore you, but I may just show you how I use the furnace a little bit later on. So we're going to put the furnace on next, then we're going to put our scrap gold. We've got about another half an hour, which is roughly what it takes to heat up the silver. I've got to adjust the temperature first of all. You need to know the temperature at what silver melts. That's around about 960 degrees centigrade. You have to allow for a little bit higher, so I'm allowing around about 30 degrees higher. So I'm going to put this on for 1000 degrees centigrade. Put my scrap in, my flask is starting to cool down, and in about half an hour's time I'm ready to cast my very first lost wax casting using my new furnace. So around about 1000 degrees will be fine. It's quite warm already, as you can see. Open that up and let's put in, there's a bit of scrap in there already. I'm going to put some more scrap in. This literally is scrap. I've also put some fine silver in here as well already, and that should be about it. There we go. Close that up. And we're looking at 308 degrees. This is what it is at the moment. That's what the temperature it's going to get to. 1000 degrees that's going to get up to. This at the moment is 501 degrees. We've got another hour and a half at that temperature, but half an hour's time and that'll be ready to cast. All right then, we are up to 1001 degrees. With a bit of a stir. I'm going to add a small little bit of flux to this as well, because it's scrap gold. Scrap, because it's scrap silver. It's not casting grain, so a little bit of flux will just help the surface, so break down the surface tension, so to speak. I give it another stir and then we're away. Okay then, we are ready. The first time using the furnace to do some lost wax casting. I love these gloves. So we're gonna keep the vacuum on until there's no colour in the button of the metal.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daddy. Happy birthday to you. Whee! We always go to this one.
We don't, we always go to that one.
Oh, yeah.
The radio on loud.
Okay.
It's Wednesday, and like I say in every vlog, when I say it's Wednesday, I always say I should be at home editing, but I'm not today. But I've got a day out as well, a couple of hours out. I'm going around this car park, and it just takes you round and round and up and up and up and up and up. So I apologise if I'm actually not looking at you. I'm actually concentrating on where I'm going. I don't want to crash. Yes, so I got a few things to do, doing a bit of shopping in Cardiff. Today, we've got a list of items to purchase. And as I always say, there are two things we've got to do when we come into Cardiff. Just trying to find the ideal parking spot. Where's this man going to choose? And the ideal parking spot is just by here. Boom. Starbucks. And then the Apple shop. But I'm getting closer to buying something in the Apple shop.
Oh, yeah.
It won't be today. wonderful, wonderful day, which is very unusual for this time of the year. We've popped into Marks's, got us some sandwiches, and we're going to sit around Roath Park Lake. So we're going to get a bit of fresh air, eat our sandwiches before I get back to work. Okay, I've never got this close to a swan before, or should I say, a swan has never got this close to me before. And there's one behind us as well.
Why do they think this is a good idea?
There's a swan right behind me. They're pecking at the bench.
I'm feeling a bit like the camera.
Okay.
He's looking at my sandwich.
We don't have anything to eat, okay? No, we don't. Go away. Go away. And you're not going to break my arm with one beat of your wing either.
They're very strong. They can do it.